Your baby is saying something to you right now. Not with words. Not with anything you can look up in a translation guide. But they are communicating clearly, deliberately, and urgently. And researchers have spent decades figuring out exactly what they found might be the most interesting thing about how humans learn to speak. And it starts earlier than almost any parent realizes. Babbling typically appears between 4 and 6 months. That stream of ba ba ba, da da da, ma ma ma. It sounds random. It is anything but. Your baby's brain is running thousands of tiny experiments every minute. Every sound they produce is a test. They're discovering what their mouth can do. What happens when the tongue hits the roof of the mouth? What their lips do when they press together and release air. They're building the hardware for language before they have any software to run on it. Scientists call this canonical babbling. And when it appears, and whether it appears on schedule, predicts language development more reliably than almost any other single measure. Here's what tends to surprise parents about this phase. Your baby is not just talking to themselves. They are talking to you. And they are listening carefully for a response. Researchers at the University of Iowa recorded thousands of interactions between parents and babies. When a parent responded to babbling within 2 seconds, babies babbled more. When parents didn't respond, babies eventually went quiet. Your baby is testing whether communication works. Every time you respond, you confirm that it does. You are literally teaching them the point of language. Around 7 to 9 months, something shifts. The sounds start to have more structure. There are rises and falls in pitch. Pauses that sound like the end of a sentence. A rhythm that sounds almost like real speech. Researchers call this conversational babbling or jargon. And it's your baby practicing the music of language before they have the words. Watch your baby's face during this phase. They're looking at you. They're waiting. They pause for your turn. They have something to tell you. They just don't have the vocabulary yet. One of the most important studies in language development came from MIT. Researchers led by John Gabrieli looked at what actually predicts strong language ability at age 5. Not the number of words children heard. Not the education level of parents. Not screen exposure. The strongest predictor was conversational turns. The back and forth between parent and child. Even when one participant couldn't use real words yet. That means when you respond to your baby's babbling like it means something, it does. You're wiring a brain for language in real time. Every exchange counts. Every response matters. Even the silly ones. Especially the silly ones. There's a feature of babbling that also deserves its own moment. Babies babble in accents. French babies babble differently than American babies. Japanese babies differently than Spanish babies. By 6 months, your baby is already absorbing the specific sound patterns of your language and filtering out sounds that don't appear in it. This is called phonetic narrowing, and it's one of the most sophisticated feats of language learning that exists anywhere in nature, happening in a baby who can't sit up on their own yet. This narrowing is why babies can distinguish sounds in foreign languages at birth and lose that ability by the end of the first year. They're specializing, focusing, committing to your language. The narrowing that looks like a loss is actually a form of mastery. Now a note about when to pay attention to delays. Most babies are babbling consistently by 6 to 7 months. If your baby is quiet, not vocalizing much, not experimenting with sounds, not responding to your voice, that's worth mentioning to your pediatrician, not to cause alarm, but because early language delays are almost always easier to address when caught early. Your pediatrician is your partner in this. Here's the final science fact that changed how I think about all of this. The babies who develop the strongest language skills are not the ones whose parents talked at them the most. They're the babies whose parents responded to them the most. Your baby doesn't need a lecture. They need a conversation partner. And you're already the most qualified person in the world for that job. There's something else worth knowing about what babbling teaches your baby beyond language itself. Babbling is also their first experience of being heard. When you respond to a sound your baby makes, something registers in their nervous system. I communicated. Someone received it. I matter enough to get a response. That experience, repeated thousands of times across the first year, is building something beyond vocabulary. It's building a sense of communicative efficacy. The felt understanding that your expressions have effects on the world. This is one of the foundations of confidence. Not the abstract kind, the embodied kind. The kind that lives in the body and shows up later as a child who raises their hand, tries new things, and tries again when they fail. There's a specific parenting behavior that accelerates babbling development. Researchers call it contingent responsiveness. When a parent responds to a baby's babbling within a short window, usually 2 to 3 seconds, the baby babbles more. When the response is delayed or absent, babies eventually reduce their output. The window matters. You don't need a perfect response. You don't need the right words. You just need to show up quickly. Oh yeah, tell me more. Is that right? Even just a raised eyebrow and a nod. Fast responsiveness sends the signal that counts. Your baby is waiting for that signal every single time. One final thing about babbling that I find remarkable. Babies who are hard of hearing babble later and differently. Babbling is not just the brain making noise. It's a feedback loop between sound production and sound reception. Your baby is listening to themselves babble and adjusting. Every ba-ba-ba is also a listening exercise. Language development is not just output. It is, at its core, a listening process. Follow this channel if you want to keep understanding how your baby is building language. Every week we break down a different piece of what's happening inside your baby's developing mind. New video every week. We'll see you in the next one.